Salama dude, SaiyanSalamander here, and welcome to another edition of Salem Suggests. It's been a while since I've made one of these videos, so let me give you a quick rundown on what it's about for those that don't know. Basically, I talk about anything that I'm a fan of, like games, webtoons, TV series, and more, and I recommend them to you guys and explain why I like them. The main medium of content that I consume I haven't talked about in this series yet are webtoons though. I guess it's extremely close to manga, and they do rarely get an anime series of them, but webtoons have a whole different style to the way manga's created. Manga's traditionally in black and white and read from back to front, whereas webtoons are usually in full colour and are specifically created to be read on a mobile device or tablet. You can read them on a PC of course, and they're even starting to see physical volumes of some series too, but they're really easy to read on mobile and tablet. You just download the Webtoon app and just keep scrolling down, as the panels are formatted so the content is really easily consumable just by reading and scrolling, making it very hard to stop reading once you've found a good series. It's almost completely free too. You can read the entirety of every series on the app without paying anything, but you can pay a very small price to read the latest 3 chapters early, but if you want to wait an extra week, you'll get that next chapter you need for free. Enough about talking about how great webtoons are in general though, I'm here to talk about a specific series published on the app. It's actually my absolute favourite one on there, and it's definitely one of my top 10 series, including anime and manga too, and that series is The God of High School. If any of you love Dragon Ball, or basically any anime with huge tournament arcs and really over the top action and powers, then this is 100% the series for you. While it does leave the setting for a few arcs, it is basically a tournament arc, the series. There's a huge martial arts tournament that takes place all over the globe, where the goal is to find the God of High School, who is the strongest high school student in the world. Our heroes enter the competition in Seoul, located in South Korea, all entering for their own different reasons, as whoever wins the tournament gets whatever wish they want granted. So it's kinda like Dragon Ball, except instead of having to scour the planet in search of all the Dragon Balls, you win them from battling all the other competitors in the World Martial Arts Tournament. Which is literally what happened in the Tournament of Power, so it's like that, but not usually a battle royale. I really enjoyed the first 3 chapters a lot, since each chapter is dedicated to one of the 3 main characters of the series, and it shows how each one of them was invited to enter the tournament, and all of their motivations for doing so. First up we get Jin Mori, who's the main protagonist. He's extremely confident in his fighting abilities, and he's never lost a match. Hearing of his strength, one of the recruiters named R asks him to join the tournament and tells him about the wish you get granted if you win. Mori's not interested though, and he just wants to fight the recruiter. After getting his ass whooped, he says he'll enter as long as he can have a rematch at some point with R. The second member of the main cast is Han Daiwei, and he's got a lot more riding on entering this tournament. His best friend is suffering from some sort of terminal illness, and he's working as many jobs as he can to earn the money to pay for his treatment. He gets recruited by a guy called Q and decides to enter the tournament when he finds out you can cure his friends of his illness, if he manages to win. Finally we have Yu Mira, who features in chapter 3. She's inherited her father's dojo, and his dying wish was to find a strong man and start a family so she can pass her family swordplay down. So she enters the tournament to find a strong opponent that she can teach it to. I really appreciate how it takes the time to introduce these characters to us, so that we know who they are and start to care about them before even the first tournament arc even begins. As most stories would just do a flashback in the middle of a fight and a few episodes in, which usually isn't what you want to see in the middle of a really cool action sequence. Again, it's really comparable to Dragon Ball since at its core it's a martial arts action series, but there's a little bit of fantasy powers and sci-fi thrown in there too, like with the Kamehameha and the Capsule Corp products. When you see the powers and abilities of some of the fighters, and a bit of the tech used in the series for God of High School. But then eventually, they transition from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z. The power scaling explodes, as the series goes from focusing on martial artists to these planet-destroying monsters. And it's really cool seeing just how far the main cast of characters can grow, and the scale of these fights really change. It doesn't seem like a sudden change or anything either. I mean, the title of the tournament they enter of the series is called The God of High School. And even in the opening prologue of the first chapter, they show off a portion of the power that you'll start to see down the road. The fantasy powers used in the series are really cool too. They don't really do a good job of explaining it in the anime, but the power in this universe is called borrowed power. Basically, a character forms a pact with a famous hero, a monster, or even a god, and after the pact is forged, the character can then use their patron's powers, and sometimes can access even more of their power, or some sort of legendary weapon, if they're a part of the bloodline of the patron. However, two people in the world can't borrow power from the same entity, so everyone's powers feel really unique since all the powers are exclusive to those characters, and the beings they borrow the power from. From the story, the art, the characters, the power system, everything about the series is a must read in my opinion, and it's definitely one I would recommend reading rather than watching. The anime series may be a lot less daunting than the webtoon, being 13 episodes compared to over 500 chapters long, but personally I'm really not a fan of the anime series. At first glance it looks amazing. It's animated by Mappa, who I'm sure you've heard of from series like the latest Attack on Titan season, Jujutsu Kaisen, and I think they're also working on the highly anticipated anime adaptation of Chainsaw Man too. The animation looks great, aside from one gripe about Jin Mari's signature move, Triple Kick. The music's insanely good, so where does it go wrong? The pacing. I don't know if it's the director's fault, or it's the writer's fault, or maybe even Crunchyroll's fault, since this is a common trend with the anime created through their partnership with Webtoon. There's just so much content skipped. Like, remember those 3 opening chapters to introduce the main characters? Gone. A ton of really cool fights? Gone. A bunch of character background and development for the main and supporting cast? Gone. Like, there's not many reasons to care about any of the cast besides the main 3. Even then, they only show a little bit of their individual stories and characters, and there's a lot more to see from them. I feel like you could get the same experience of watching God of High School just by watching clips of the fights on Crunchyroll's YouTube channel. Like, there's just so much missing, and it's so sad to see, especially with how excited I was for the series leading up to its release. To put it into perspective, let's talk about a few other action series, so you can get an idea of the average pacing, and just how much stuff was missed from the God of High School anime. Black Clover went through 10 chapters in 13 episodes, and it typically only goes through a chapter or half a chapter per episode, which is pretty slow paced for a shonen anime. My Hero Academia went through 21 chapters in 13 episodes, and has a pace of roughly 2 to 3 chapters per episode, which is probably the standard good pacing for this kind of anime. Finally, we've got God of High School, which cuts so much content that it managed to go through a whopping 113 chapters in 13 episodes. And these chapters are usually a decent amount longer than your standard Shonen Jump ones. I don't want to be one of those people that just tells you to read the manga. Well, I guess the webtoon in this case, since at the end of the day, as long as you enjoy it, consume the series on whatever medium you like. But I'd still definitely recommend giving the webtoon a shot first, and then try out the anime if you really want to give it a go, and see how some of the fights look animated. Just like a lot of animes, webtoons like God of High School are typically split into different seasons. So if it's a bit daunting looking at a series and seeing that there's 500 plus chapters to read, they're all split into seasons, so you've got some good breakpoints laid out for you if you want to rest after reading a bunch of it. Currently the webtoon has 6 seasons, the first of which takes place in the regional God of High School tournament in Seoul. This season doesn't go into the powers and fantasy aspect of the series much just yet, and while there are a couple of borrowed power users shown off this season, they're all people that assist with running the tournament, rather than the characters who are entering it. Season 2 takes place in the national God of High School tournament, and starts to delve more into the power system of the world, with most of the competitors starting to use borrowed power. Plus they change up the tournament rules a little bit to spice things up. Season 3 is the first season to take place outside of the tournament, and is a fun series that adds a new adventure aspect to the series, which you really didn't see in the first 2 seasons, since most things took place in the tournament hall or around that area. Season 4 goes back for another tournament arc, but this time it's the World Tournament, and the formula changes up a lot compared to the previous tournament seasons. And it's pretty refreshing going back to it after the change of last season, but also changing up enough so it doesn't feel like the same thing over and over again. I'll try to explain Season 5 and 6 as vaguely as possible, but I feel like here's where you really start to see why the show is called God of High School. And the power scale shifts from like Saiyan Saga, Goku and Vegeta to current power levels in Super. And I love seeing how the characters can have these tremendous scale battles while sticking to their martial art roots too. I'm really hoping we can get some sort of Fullmetal Alchemist styled reboot of the anime someday, since I'd love to see Mappa give the show another shot, without the major pacing issues, and really see this amazing series done justice. I don't think there's anything left to say about God of High School, except to just ask you again to check the series out if it sounds like your kind of thing. I'll leave a link to read the series on Webtoon's site in the description, or you can go download the Webtoon app on your phone or tablet to read it too. I hope you enjoyed this video, my dudes, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe to see more, and let me know in the comments if you gave God of High School a shot, and what you thought of it. If you want to see some more of my content live, and see me do playthroughs of games like Fire Emblem and Kingdom Hearts, or you want to hang out with the rest of the community, then check out my Twitch channel and Discord server, which will be linked in the description below. Huge thanks again to Jarrett for editing this video. As always, I'll leave his YouTube channel and his Twitter in the description below, so definitely go and check him out. That's all for now, so again, thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully see you around soon, my dudes. Until next time, bye.